Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Let's Play episode of Pharaoh. This time we're playing the second mission of the Archaic campaign, and if we jump into the mission objectives over here, our first objective is a population of 1500, which should be quite okay to achieve, culture rating of 15, which also will be easy, prosperity rating of 20, which will take a little bit of time from experience, a monument rating of 9, and that means that we are going to be constructing our first monument, which is a sacred mastaba tomb. And that's all that we need to look at in this screen at the moment. Still on difficulty normal for the moment. We'll see how we go over the next couple of missions if we need to bump that up. What we're actually going to do now, if we just have a quick look at the map, this is the only floodplains area that we have on the entire map. So this is the only area that we're going to be able to grow our food in. The problem that we have is that we also have to grow barley in there as well. So we have two farms, chickpeas, which is going to be our food, and barley, which is going to produce the beer that we need to evolve our houses. So we're going to have to make sure that we are quite space efficient with this. I know from experience as well that we actually get access to reeds and papyrus makers later on. So we're going to be utilising one of these marsh areas, and probably this one down the bottom, I think. So what I think we're going to start with, we're actually going to start building start using a proper, if I take it off pause, and speed's on 70 at the moment, we'll speed that up a little bit later. We're going to start using a proper housing block. So the one that we used last time was only sort of just a quick little one for one of the first missions. So this is probably actually sort of a proper design. I got this one from the Pharaoh Heaven website, which is a great little site. If you're interested in the game, I encourage you to jump over there and have a look at it. There's a lot of really good content, and the forums are actually really still quite active. So for a game that came out in 1999, that is pretty impressive. So I encourage you to get over there and check that out. The reason we're doing this and setting up blocks like this is that we're going to sort of try a little technique that I haven't actually tried before, so I'm not sure how it's going to go. But basically we're going to want or try and get these houses to all develop into 2x2 housing. So for newbies into the game, housing can develop in one of two ways basically. You can actually have individual houses, so each one of these plot here will actually turn into an individual house, or they can actually join into one house, and that is called a 2x2 house. The reason we want 2x2 house is basically is going to encourage, it just gives a little bit more options down the track, so a little bit more upgrade options and more population and things like that. So we're going to try and encourage by just setting down these plots, putting some gardens around so they're sort of encouraged and they can hopefully join together and create 2x2 housing. Then we'll get rid of all the gardens and slowly start filling in the rest of our housing here. So we're just going to start fleshing out our housing block over here. First thing we're going to do is actually try and actually plaza out this entire area. So when we start removing some of the gardens a little bit later, it doesn't affect the desirability of our block here. So I'm going to actually put down a road block right here. And that's so because the whole idea with, as I mentioned in the first episode, we want to limit the amount of junctions that our walkers have to make a decision at. So basically, the idea with housing blocks is that it's sort of a self-contained area that all of your services and goods providers can sort of just cover a sort of defined area, and they don't have to worry about making too many decisions, and you don't lose coverage on any of your houses or anything like that. So that's what we're going for here. So going to add in firehouse, architect's post, get rid of a garden there, a police station, and an apothecary. So that's what we've got there for now. So I think that, see a bunch of these have converted into 2x2, but some of them haven't. So I'll have to look into that later on, but I actually might start filling out a little bit of the rest of our housing out here. Just so we can sort of get some people to start moving in and see how we go here with all of this. So I might just leave that for now, let the rest of it fill in, and I'm actually going to jump over and start filling out our chickpeas. So as I mentioned before, our chickpeas are going to be our primary source of food in this episode. So we don't have hunting available to us, and this is chickpeas are the only crops that we also, all the food crops that we have available to us. So we don't have to try and make this as space efficient as possible. It's not one of my strengths, so forgive me if I make some strange calls, but I will definitely do my best. So I think we might run this down here, add some chickpea farms to there, which would be good. Add this here, run a road down here, and fill this up with farms. I'm going to leave a gap there, and there, and just add a road there, and run a road through here and along here, and then I'm actually going to run a road along here, and we're going to fill up a few little more farms with chickpeas, and the rest of it is going to be probably just 2 there, and then we're going to start putting down some barley farms. So I'm going to put that one there, this one here, run a road through, and all the way through there will do. Get rid of this road here, and we don't need a whole stack of barley farms, so what we actually might do, get rid of this road here, put down another barley farm there, and we're going to get rid of that road there and squeeze in one more barley farm right there. So that should be more than enough. So 5 barley farms should be enough for what we need. We're not going to have an enormous population in our city, so it's only going to be around the 1500 mark, so it's not enormous. So what we're going to do now is put down a couple of work camps here. We're going to put down a roadblock quickly right there, and firehouse and architect post along here so this place doesn't burn down. Next thing we're going to do is actually run a road. I think we're going to run it up here, and the reason we're going to do this is a couple of reasons. Actually, you can put down a bandstand here to start with, so we have some entertainment later on. And what we're going to do is, because we've got this area blocked off, so the people from these buildings looking for employment actually can't get access to this area, but we're going to run a road up this side here. But they're actually still going to be close enough to get access to our employees or to our people, so they can hire some employees. So that's the reason we've gone for that. And we're just going to add in some gardens along the back here to make sure that the desirability of this area isn't negatively affected by things like the granaries and the work camps. So that should be all good for now. So we're going to start filling out the rest of our housing block here. So we put down a bazaar there, a physician's post here, and get rid of most of these gardens, or a bunch of these gardens, and start fleshing out our rest of our housing. So most of this area is going to be taken up with housing, and there, and there, and there. And I think we're actually going to put houses here and here, and have the rest of it as gardens. So I have a block of gardens there in the middle. I'm not sure if that's going to be quite enough. We might need a little bit more gardens along here, but for now, we'll run with that and see how we go there. So everything's going quite well for the moment. Got a little bit of food coming through here from the first harvest, but it won't be a whole lot, so we won't worry too much about that. It's going to be the next harvest where we really get our first proper harvest of food. Just plaza out some of these areas. So we have a quick look in at our overseer of the temples. Our patron god is Ptah, if that's the right way to pronounce it. Please let me know if it's not. Osiris is a local deity, and Bast is also a local deity. So we have 3 gods to look after in this one. So what we're going to do is set up a temple to Ptah here, temple to Osiris down here, and also another temple to Bast down here as well. So the housing block design actually only calls for 2 temples, so I'm going to extend this road out here a little further. So get rid of this kingdom road over here, and that should be fine for now. So we'll have to add in some more temples and stuff later on once we expand, and some shrines just to keep the gods happy. But for now, for quite a small town, that should be more than enough. So we do have a lot of individual houses here, so I definitely have to sort of go back to the drawing board and see how I can sort of convert them to 2x2 a little bit better and go from there. So I think a big benefit, I may be talking out of thin air here, but I think a big benefit of having 2x2 is that can actually convert later on into things like estates and manors, which is sort of like the really top tier of housing. Whereas if there's individual houses, they can't do that. So I think that's probably the bigger benefit and the reason people go for it, but maybe I'm just making that up completely. So all our farms are set up, our granaries are good, our work camps are good, we've got our services set up in this initial area, which is fine. We're going to set up a juggling school and a conservatory for our entertainment here. And the good thing about this is they actually wander, because they've got the bandstand over here, they have to wander through here to actually get here, which means we're going to have full entertainment coverage for this entire area. So that's the reason we've gone for that route. What we're going to do next is run a road down here and one along here, and we're going to put down a roadblock on this corner, and this is going to be our industrial area. So what we're going to set up, we're going to start with clay pits. So we're going to put down 2 clay pits and have 3 potters, 1, 2 and 3, and the next thing we're going to do is put down 1, 2, 3 breweries, and now we're going to set up our storage yards. So we're going to put our storage yards sort of over here so they a little bit closer to our bazaars, and we're going to have one there, and one there. And what we're going to do with these, so the first one is going to be half pottery and half beer, so we set that up like that. Next one is going to be all barley, so oops, not beer, barley, so we can get our barley harvest and have enough space for this one. And next we're going to set this up. I know, like I mentioned earlier, I know that we actually get access to reeds and papyrus makers. So what I'm going to do here is actually set up 1/4 for reeds and 3/4 for papyrus. So that is good. So that's just sort of a little bit of pre-planning. So the harvest is going well. I'm going to bump up the speed to 90 now, just to make things tick along a little bit quicker. And then later on we'll actually jump it up to 100% once things start going along. So we have a good inundation coming along, which means the gods are relatively happy, and especially Osiris. Going to flesh out the plaza area a little bit here. And what we're going to do now, so we now have 500 residents, which is good, only 1,000 more to go. So the most of this population, or the most of this housing block, should get us the bulk of our 1,500 population. But we are going to be a little bit short from the test game that I ran. So what I'm going to do here is actually set up a small little housing block, just like that. Like that should be enough. And this will sort of give some employees, or give these businesses access to employees. So the little trick with the game is that you may think that if you set up sort of an industrial area here that doesn't have access to the main area of your population, that you're going to need to build a lot of housing to get enough employees. But what actually happens is that one house is enough to give you access, or give these businesses access to your entire workforce pool. So as long as that house is placed properly, and all these workers will walk past it, they'll actually get access to your entire workforce. So that's a little bit of a cheat that you can do, or not cheat, just an exploit in the game that you can use to when you design your industry blocks. So a lot of people design their proper industry blocks around that sort of concept, and just have 1 or 2 houses sprinkled around so people get access to all the workers. So that's all good for now. We're actually going to just run some gardens around this place, just so, because it is sort of in an industrial area. We're not probably not going to bother having a bazaar here or anything like that. We're not really going to look to be upgrading these houses. Just sort of just an extra little population area to hopefully tip us over the 1,500 mark, but we will give ourselves sort of set it away a little bit from the industry, so we can run a bazaar here if we want to upgrade these houses a little bit further. So that's all good. So we have a fire, and I didn't put down, what am I going to do, slow the speed down a little bit. And that was very silly of me. I didn't put down architect's posts and anything like that. So we're going to lose a few buildings, which is not great, but lesson learnt for all of you out there. The first thing you should do is put down firehouse and architect's post in any new area that you build. So we have to rebuild these, which is going to cost us a bit of money, which is not great, but that's what we have to do. So, put another storage yard down here, and this one was for our barley. So accept all, and once this is finished, we're going to put down our clay pits, 2 clay pits, and another brewery. There we go. So, hopefully these firehouses will, yep, that's kicked in, and the Archaic post, so that should cover this area quite easily. I'm just waiting for our crops to come in and our barley. We've got our temple set up, our housing block is set up quite well. Still quite low on people for unemployment, but now we've got our harvest coming in, that's quite good. Just going to bump up the speed to 100% just for a little while, just to sort of get things roll along a little bit. So people idolize me as a god. Well, isn't that nice of them? But I just let half their city burn down, so they probably shouldn't do. So what we're going to do is employees needed, that's okay. Just plaza out this area, a little bit more desirability for these houses. Should have an excellent inundation in the coming year, so that's good. So we can see a lot of our houses are up, evolving here, so they've got access to pottery and beer, which we sort of had pre-organised, so we should have a whole lot of people come in and solve our employment problem. So we're basically waiting a little bit, so what we're going to do next is put down a courthouse there, and slow down the speed a little bit, and down to 80. So I had a pop up here, we've now got access to education. So what that means is we can now build schools and libraries, and schools and libraries need papyrus to run, so it means we've now got access to reed gatherers, which gather reeds from marshes, and they'll give them to papyrus makers who will make papyrus. So what we're going to do, papyrus is going to be our primary source of income for the rest of the game, and we need that because we need prosperity and we need money to import bricks later on to build our mastaba. So what we're going to do, 2 reed gatherers will produce an enormous amount of reeds. So what I'm going to do, we now have 1,000 people as well. So what I'm going to do is actually only have 2 reed gatherers and have a whole stack of papyrus makers. So it should be good. So out of money. Little thing about the game, if you know about it, once you run out of your, like in a mission, once you run out of your initial funds, you actually sort of get a second lot of funds there, but after that you go into debt. If you go into debt, you can impact your kingdom rating. So we don't want to do that whatsoever. So we need a kingdom rating of 40. If we go into debt, our kingdom rating will drop, and we also have to meet any sort of requests and things like that. But the other ratings here shouldn't be too bad of a problem. So we're going to just put down our Scrabble school just there, and get all that organised. And our houses are getting up to quite a good level, which is good. And what we're going to do is actually put down some more gardens in this area. So a few of them were saying they had detrimental, or buildings were causing detrimental desirability for the area. What we're going to do as well is put down a tax collector, which we can't. We have to put down our village palace, so we're going to do that now. May put down our village palace. Where are we going to put down our village palace? May put it... thinking. May put it here, because there's a road that runs through here. So I think we're going to put that there. And now we can put down our tax collector over here. We're also going to put down a minion statue here, and a couple of shrines to our patron god here. And some more gardens over the back here. So hopefully that should be enough to ward off any problems. So a few houses run out of pottery, but that does happen sort of in your initial, once you're setting up your initial industries. So that should correct itself quite soon, so you won't worry too much about that for now. Have a lot of unemployment, so 11%, 9%, but that should drop once all these papyrus makers and things kick in. And especially later on, once we have to build a whole stack of work camps and construction guilds and things like that to hold or build our mastaba. So we don't worry too much about that at the moment. We're going to crank up the speed to 100% again. Employees needed, so that's okay. Until our houses upgrade properly. So, we've built some papyrus and we've got some education out there. So now we can actually trade with other cities. And we need to trade with other cities so that we can import bricks and sell papyrus. So if you want to read this, just pause the video and have a look, otherwise I'll move on. And click on the world map, just gives us another little spiel about how we can trade, importing and exporting. So if you don't know how to read, just pause the video. And so, this is the world map. We've got a couple of cities here, and we've got Pawajit. So if we click on Pawajit, we can see that they're going to sell us a whole bunch of things, most of which we don't need. But the big thing that we need is bricks. They're not going to buy anything from us, but we definitely need to buy bricks from them. We can't make our own. So we're going to set up a land trade route here. And we can see the little trade route come down here. If we come down to Necken, we can, or Necken, however you want to pronounce that, they sell clay, pottery, and beer. We don't need any of those, but they do buy papyrus, which is what we need. So we're going to set up a trade route with them as well. So you can see the trade routes there. We can come out of here, and the next thing we're going to do is jump into our overseer of commerce. What we're going to do now is set up our papyrus for export. So you can see exportable here. Just click on that, click to export. We're going to set the levels ourselves. We're going to set our papyrus at 200. So we've only got one scribal school and we'll always only have one. So it doesn't need a whole lot of papyrus. So we're going to sort of set it down to the minimum. We're not going to import bricks quite yet, although we will do that quite soon. We have to set up a few things first. So just build down the speed again. Get rid of the Kingdom Road. And what we're going to do, so we're going to build our master bar over here. So what we're going to need for that is, we're going to set up 3 storage yards, and these are going to hold all of our bricks. So we're going to say accept all bricks, and same for the last one, accept all bricks. So that should be pretty good for now. So what we're going to do now that we've got that, we haven't got a whole stack of money, but that's okay for the moment. We're going to start importing bricks. I'm just going to set it to sort of 11,000, so we need quite a few. And that's good, so we're going to crank that speed to 100 again. So we've imported our first lot of bricks, and now we've got access to monuments. So it gives us a whole bit of a spiel here about how monuments work. Basically, what happens is you put sort of a foundation of your monument down, you have workers from your work camps go, and they sort of dig out the site and prepare it. Once that happens, you need to have construction guilds. So in this case, we have bricklayers guilds. They go onto the site, and then your peasant labour or your peasant workers go onto the monument and haul some bricks to the monument. The bricklayers lay them, and then they sort of rinse and repeat until the process has been finished. So just drop the speed a little bit again. And so what we're going to do now, we can actually set down our small master bar thing. We're going to set it quite close to our storage yards here, so our workers don't have too far to go. We're also going to set down 1 to construction yards and 1 to workers camps. So we need a few more workers for 2 reasons. Because we have quite a few farms, so in the sort of the planting and harvesting seasons, the farmers take preference. So the work of your master bar, if you don't have enough work camps, the work of your master bar or your monument can suffer. So the more work camps you have, the better. And also we'll suck up some of that unemployment that we're going to have a little bit down the track. So that's quite good for now. I'm going to ramp up the speed again. I have to look at there's a hotkey for this actually. So we're in debt now. So what I'm going to actually do, we've got a fair bit of bricks there, so I'm actually going to turn off importing bricks. Because like I mentioned before, we don't want to get into sort of constant debt. So we're going to wait until we sell a whole bunch of papyrus. We're into positive now, but we're going to wait until our money builds up a little bit. Because we're going to have to, our workers are going to have to come here and dig out the site anyway. So it's going to take a little bit of time. So we're just going to run with that for now. Let's jump in and check the gods. They're all angry. So what I'm going to do is, we have malaria as well, so I'm just going to put down an apothecary in this area. So an apothecary is responsible for fixing things like diseases like malaria. I believe a physician is more about general health. So an apothecary should sort out this problem quite quickly. Disease can be a problem, can spread quite quickly, but I think we should now sort that out pretty soon. So what we're going to do is put down a few more temples so the gods are a bit happier, so they don't come in and ruin the city or something along those lines. So do that, and we're also going to put down some shrines, which you hadn't really done before. A couple here, and malaria, so that'll be fixed soon, not too much of a problem to worry about. And some more shrines to blast. So that should keep the gods quite happy. So we've got lots of beer, we've got enough pottery, or slowly getting enough pottery. It was a little bit slow there, but it should be fine. We're building up some papyrus when we're selling, which is good. Our mastaba is starting to be built, and everything seems to be going relatively well. We've got lots of food, our houses are fully upgraded. I don't believe so. To upgrade to the next level, they need some more entertainment. So they need a third type of entertainment, which we don't have access to in this mission. So we're at the maximum level at the moment, which is good. So we're up to 1300, so we should be okay for our population by the end of the game. Everything's going well. May actually start importing some bricks because we're nearly out of them, just so we don't slow down our mastaba production too much. Speed up back up to 100. So later on I won't always run the game at 100, just so these early missions are quite, they are quite simple, and they sort of, a lot of it is just sort of like a time related thing. You're sort of waiting for sort of certain things to finish. So I sort of just run them through at 100 at the moment, and that should be quite good. So unemployment up to, only down to 3 now, 5. So it is quite low, which is good. So unemployment rating does affect your prosperity rating as well. So if you have very high unemployment, it means your prosperity rating won't be able to get too high. So we're in debt again because we have some more bricks purchased. Maybe sort of let it run for a little bit. Actually no, we're not, now that we've bought more bricks. So I believe I mentioned this before, but the problem that you can run into is if you go into debt with Kingdom, or you go into debt, sort of a constant debt, you can actually really hurt your Kingdom rating. And if you go your Kingdom rating drops quite a lot, it can be quite difficult to raise up enough again. So we definitely don't want to go into debt over the long term. So unfortunately, we're just sort of going to have to wait till our papyrus builds up. So all our papyrus makers are working at maximum, which is good. Our reed gatherers are working, so we've pretty much got the good right mix here. Probably not really worth building any more papyrus makers. I don't think it's really going to help the process along too much. Houses are developed. We've got a tax collector there, so they're collecting taxes, but it's not a huge amount of money. And we're sort of going okay. So up to 1100 currency or Devons at the moment. A good flood, which is nice. We've got a lot of food though, so that's okay. Got heaps of barley as well, so I'm not really too worried about food and barley at the moment. This housing block seems to be working quite well. So I've only used this once in a sort of a test mission before. But it seems to be working relatively well for the moment, which is good. We're having a little bit of a problem with some houses downgrading. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. So we've got 5,000 currency. So what I'm actually going to do, jump back in, start importing bricks again, and that should be fine. So we've got a lot of money there, so we should be fine for bricks now. So just keep running through at 100%. And everything should be pretty good. Yes, like I was saying, the housing, we did have a few problems in my test game with, like sometimes you sort of have this, you'd have certain households seem to sort of miss goods or miss services, and they'd downgrade briefly and then sort of evolve back up again once they had access to services, but it hasn't been too bad in this game, so maybe sort of see how it goes, see what's happening there again. Maybe see how it goes, and maybe have to look to tweak some placement of some of the services and things like that. So we finished our first master, which is brilliant. So you see over here it's all finished, and if we come into our ratings now, we can have a look and we can see we've got our monument rating of 9, which is great. Our kingdom rating is up. We're going to turn off importing of bricks because you no longer need them. And everything is looking good. So pretty much all we're going to be waiting on now, we've got nearly at 1500 population, so I may add in a couple more houses just to ensure that we get over that 1500 mark, and then we're going to be waiting for prosperity to increase. So prosperity rating is rising. The city is more prosperous when exports earn more than imports. So that's quite good. So what I'm going to do is drop the speed down to 90 quite briefly. Going to take out this little area of gardens over there, and that should, thinking that maybe, because if that evolves that should be another 80 odd people there, so that should probably be enough. But just to be safe, I'm actually going to put down a bazaar over here, which should hopefully upgrade these places if I put down some more gardens so it's all nice and pretty for them. There we go. And we should be able to basically now run the mission through to completion. So you can see here this house is upgrading quite quickly. And that's all good. So we should hit the population mark quite soon. This one down here is upgrading as well. So I think we should be pretty good for population. So if a few immigrants come in, but I might actually just add in a juggling school here. Extend the road out so they can get some entertainment. We're up to 1471 population. We're up to 20 prosperity, so we're going well. Pretty low employment, although if we ran the game for a little bit longer, I'd probably seek to drop that a little bit. So once we tick over the 1500 mark, which should be very soon, we will be done. So this is our first request that we've had. So we've had a request from the city of Prawajit to send 900 flasks of beer. So what we're actually going to do is actually just going to send that out even though we're nearly finished. So go to our political overseer, and the request is here. If you've got enough in your storage yards, and just dispatch it immediately. And that will increase your kingdom rating and things like that, and you may get rewards and stuff like that. So there we go, victory. So that was a pretty decent run through. There were no major problems apart from me burning down a part of the city to start with. So that is the second mission. So we better run it on to the third mission soon. I hope to have that up for you guys quite soon. But for now, I'm going to put a cut in here, and I'll see you all soon.